Friends, this is Ganesh and video number 24 on Serious View. In this session, I'm going to explain another concept of annotation as authorization. So far, we have seen annotations plays a role to provide a text to the end user output. It may be a tooltip or a column field. And if you take an analytical level and we are able to provide aggregation and we are able to provide some default fields to be added as a row or column level. And if you consider for the ABAP level, especially the quantity and currency field, and if you want to give a reference field for a quantity and currency values, we can use an annotation. So annotation is actually plays a different role in the CDS view data. And whenever you get a chance, play around with the annotations. Even though if it is not required, try to include and try to see how it's reflect. Always remember annotations has two categories. One is ABAP annotation, another one is other category annotations, right? Other component annotations. So if you use annotations, the other component annotation, make sure you have to test it in that component level. Example, analytical tool or UI. So if you're using any other annotation, another other component annotation and trying to test in ABAP, it won't work. Okay, so it's not meaning it's not working. It's not the way the syntax and everything. Everything is fine, but the place where you are testing that particular CDS view data is different. Okay, so that is very important. You have to remember always, and it won't give any syntax errors like this is not relevant for ABAP, this is not relevant for other component. It very simply it just ignore in the component level. Okay, if the annotation is not relevant for the particular component, you are using an UI that is not relevant for ABAP at all, then ABAP is not going to execute or is not going to use that particular UI annotations. Just simply ignore it. Okay. So make sure the testing is very important, because in the beginning time, if you try to use annotation, you're not able to see the particular output, expected output in your ABAP level. The meaning is the annotation which you're using is not relevant for your ABAP component. Very simple. Okay. Let's see about authorizations today. And another area is like there are two places where you can use annotations. One is header, another one is body. Okay. And before get into the annotations for authorization, I have to introduce another object, independent object as DCL. Whatever CDS view we have created, technically we call it as DDL, data definition language. And the first introduction about DCL is for the authorization level only. So DCL is in nothing but data control language. So normally data control language is always on top of your DDL. Okay, so let me get into the slide. So far we have everything in DDL, data definition language, and there is a layer on top of it. It's nothing but DCL, data control language. This is also an independent object. And the folder name is access control. You might have seen under the CDS view folder in Eclipse or HANA Studio. Okay. So here what I'm going to do is on top of my DDL, I'm going to control the data based on my own condition. So the condition could be your where condition, very basic where condition, or you can have an authorization object and the authorization object has its own value. So that level also you are able to write a code, you are able to control your data of your CDS view. Okay, DCL is also a place same like DDL where you can write the code. Probably the syntax could be different because that is not a view, that is a role. So you have option called like define role, role name, grant role, and select on this var condition or authorization objects. Everything we are going to see over there as well. Okay, so the new object which we are learning is DCL, data control language. And about DCL, it restricts the data returned from CDS entity. This is going to be a technically top of your CDS entity, because normally in a CDS view you have two names normally we specify. One is the SQL name, that is nothing but your data dictionary object, and define view name, so that is nothing but your CDS view entity. So DCL is always on top of your CDS view entity only. And literal conditions, PFCG conditions, meaning inside a DCL, write whatever you want. It's not only authorization object. A simple where condition also accept and works in DCL. Okay, so that's what I want to mention over here. Literal, and you have PCF conditions or combination of both. You can have a I want one constant var condition. Along with that, I want to do authorization object. Whatever you want, you can do it. Okay, it's just your area to play. And there's a syntax of your DCL, how we do in DDL, define view, the same way DCL, define role name and grant, select on, CDS view entity name over here and var condition. Here you can have a number of conditions, okay, and end with semicolon. I think I missed one bracket as well. It should be closed. Okay, and what else? Yeah, so conditions about the condition. Excuse me. So normal var condition or conditions NNR and PFC authorization field values more than one authorization object also you are able to add it, and combination of both that is also possible. Yeah, and authorization annotations. So this is the annotation of your authorization. It's in the header level. At symbol access control dot authorization check. This annotation has 4 different values. Okay, check, not allowed, not required, privileged only. I'll give a one-line description of each, and I will show you in detail when I'll explain it in the system as well. Okay, and DCL is a bigger area of in CDS views, like a different way of authorization we are able to give, different roles we can able to map it. Probably it might require a different session on it. So today I'm going to just touch a DCL to make sure it's work or how it's work for the annotation called authorization check. So here the first value is check. It's very simple. So I have a DCL on top of my DDL. So I'm just passing a message to my CDS view DDLS. Please check it. Okay. So if there is an DCL enabled for your CDS entity, then it will go and check. If not, okay. If there is no DCL on top of your DDL, then you will get a warning message, meaning you don't have a DCL at all. What is the use of using this annotation as check? Okay, so that is the idea of this check. If there is a DCL, yes, it will go and check. If there is no DCL, it won't check. It won't give any syntax error also. It probably give a warning message, but the new versions which I'm using in Eclipse, I'm not getting a warning message also. Okay, so that's fine. And not allowed. So whatever it is, whether you have a DCL on top of your DDL, yes or no, it doesn't matter. Not allowed means not allowed. Don't go and check is there any DCL and perform the DCL. Okay, don't do that. That is the meaning of not allowed. Okay, so you don't worry about either DCL is there or not. Don't do any DCL checks for my DDL. That is the meaning of not allowed. Not required, check, not required. Only difference is very simply, we also encounter the same to suppress a warning message. Okay, so check is also the same way it works. If there is a DCL, yes, there is a DCL, go and adapt the DCL and work on it. Not record also the same way, it will just check whether there is any DCL on top of this DDL. Yes, it's work in the same way. If there is no DCL, then the check, if you use the check value, it give a warning message. And if there is no DCL, if you use not required, it won't give the warning message. So this is the documentation which provided from SAP level. Difference between check and not required. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, in my current Eclipse, even I'm not getting any warning message if I use check without DCL. Okay. And same thing for not required also. So you don't worry about much about check and not required. Both has same functionality. Only the difference is not required will suppress the warning message, but check doesn't. That's it. Privileged only. Okay, so this is one of I feel is a very good one. Beauty of this authorization check. Privileged only is restricted, and the people won't see the CDS view data directly. Another statement for privileged is the data is not exposed to an OData service. So in that is the business scenario, you can use privileged only. You may find few standard CDS is coming with privileged only option, and people are trying to execute directly. They are saying no records found. Okay, because privileged only DDL cannot be used directly. It can be associated or it can be used with an association option, or we can use an expand category, right? Expand, where we are using navigation path and OData service. In that way, you are able to do it. Okay. So as we are going with the authorization annotations concept, so I will show you an example of each and play around with your own business scenarios for this annotations. Okay. Anything else? No, that's it. Let's get into the system now. This is my Eclipse and a simple DDL which is getting values from a table AUFK. So let me increase the font size. Give me a minute. Yep. So it just display the data from the order table. I'm executing the CDS view. Just show you the data of the CDS view. Now I'm going to write DCL on top of my DDL with a simple var condition, and we'll show you how the DCL works. Then we'll go to the authorization object level. This is my access control folder, or you can start from here. Right click, core data, CDS, core data service, new access control. Or if you want to start from here, this is the option. So far we have created DDL, is nothing but data definitions. The first time you're going to do access control. Just click next and write a name for it. I can go with CGI, DCL. DCL, CL, next, finish. So I have used my custom package. That is the reason it's asking for the transport request. So this is my DCL and end label. Define role, grant select on entity name. So this is my entity name. You have to use your entity, not the SQL. Var condition. Okay, so here they just give some formats. What kind of var conditions you are able to use in your DCL? Okay, example var conditions. You can have your authorization objects, or one field. You can have more than one. This is a CDS view field. This is the authorization level, and then aspect user. So you can go with the user level, or you can have normal var condition. So these are commented one just for your reference. I will start with the normal var condition. The syntax is grant select on CDS entity name var. The field name is AUART. I give Y100. Okay, that's it. End with semicolon. And this is closed here. Okay, this is actually, this was missing in my PPT. So this is the closed one over here. Activate it. So this is another object kind of DTL. Activate it. Once you activate, you can go and refresh, or you can go and execute your DDL again. I'm going with the refresh option. It shows only Y100 because I have a DCL for my DDL with a normal basic var condition. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of var condition, I'm going to use an authorization object. Okay, and it's a dynamic, and I can have more than one authorization object. Depends on the user needs, my DCL will perform an action over here. Okay, let me do that first. Go to the respective system. So this is the relevant system which I have used same in my Eclipse also. So go to SE21 to have object class and authorization object. So you might have idea about this. I have created a video on how to create an authorization object, roles, and assign a values. So if you're new to this authorization, please have a look on that particular video. And I'm going to create an object class. I go with object class, yeah, OCL, object class, save it, local object. So it's done. Now I have to create a authorization object for my order type. Okay, so it's ZZ EUART. So you can go with normal only one particular Z or Y or as well. So no issues on it. EU, okay, order type ZOL object class, enter. Okay, and here I'm going to use EUERT. It's a standard field, so it's automatically available. So no issues on it. Save it. I don't have any activity here because I don't want to go with change or display and everything. Just a field is enough for me. Save it. Okay, sorry, I already saved. And everything is fine. Okay, and close it. Now authorization object is ready. So we need to create a role through PFCG and assign this authorization object. Okay, I can say CGI role created. So description is optional. Go to authorization tab. You want to save this? Yes, save it. Go little down and click change authorization data and skip this window. So please use do not select templates. I want to add manually. And your authorization object is ZZAUART, enter. So it automatically picked the object class and the authorization object as well. So compared to my previous authorization object video, this is a different rental system. So the structure of your PFCG also a little different. Okay. So here I'm going to click this change button, enter the values Y100. Okay, only these two. Save it. Okay, only one Y100, and generate your profile. Continue. So we are done. And one last step is user, because this role to be assigned to one user, but the same user which I'm going to use to access my CDS view. So either you can perform this option using PFCG transaction or SU21 as well. So sorry, SU01 as well. So both will work. So the intention is we need to assign a role. So here I'm assigning a role and assigning a user. In SU01, you have a user, assign a role. Okay, so both works. My user is this one. Enter and click user comparison. So you have to make sure your user is in green state, user tab is in green state. Save it and full comparison. If you need one more additional step to confirm, go to SU01 and just see whether this role, ZJI role, has been added or not. That's it. Go out and go to Eclipse now, and I have a DCL. Command this. Okay. So I'm going to write a code. So if it is a PFCG authorization object, you need this bracket. So AUART is equal to, the syntax would be aspect PFCG authorization object. Okay, and no single quotes is required. Give your authorization name and authorization field name. Okay, authorization object name and field name. My authorization object name is ZZAUART, comma, and authorization field name is AUART, comma. Oh, that's it. Close it and semicolon. Act toward it. It's trying to activate my DCL. I think you don't find any difference in the output because it's same thing, right? The where condition and this also same. I'll go here and refresh 18 rows. So no difference, same 18 rows. So what I can do, I can add one more value here in my authorization object like y100 and z100, then we will find a difference in the output. So authorization tab, change authorization data, and here select, let's click this one. I want z100 also, save it. Okay, generate and go to Eclipse. Now 18 actually with y100 and refresh. Okay, it's 90. Okay, only one record has the order type Z100. Okay, so this is a way the authorization object like DCL and annotation work. Okay, I didn't touch annotation so far. DCL works. If you want to have more than one, or if you want to have a literal and authorization object, yes, that also works. AUTYP equal to 30. Take out this and you have to use at symbol. That's it. Activate it and refresh your output. So it's 0, 1. I believe no records comes because yes, 30 is not going to work. It should be PM001. Okay, what I can do, let me add one more here. PM001. Save, generate. Now go to Eclipse and refresh because the combination has not worked here. The category is 30, then the order type should be PM00 or 01. Then only those combination works. So that is the reason. Let me refreshing it. So here you go. Okay, now it works with literal and authorization object. If you feel you have to add another authorization object, yes, you can have it over here. And it's not responding. Okay, give me a minute. Okay. So what you can do is you can have another authorization object like this. So this is just for your reference. Okay. So it could be AUTYP and you can have the particular object name and object type. This also works as expected. So either and or depends on your business need, you can play around. So this is the area where you can write your own code depends on your business need in DCL. Okay. So let it be. Let's we go to the annotation part now. Okay, and act toward it. So PMO is 30. So mostly we are in 3 records now. Let's see how it works. By default, I have a access control authorization check as check. So if there is a DCL, yes, there okay. If there is a DCL, it will go and check. If there is no DCL, no issues, nothing. It won't give anything, any syntax error. It will also execute with all the records. Okay. Expectation is it should give a warning message if there is no access control DCL, but it's not giving. Probably it might be removed from the new versions. Not sure. Another one is not allowed. So not allowed is exactly opposite to check. Don't worry about anything. Even if it is a DCL or not DCL, don't do any DCL checks for my DDL. That's it. That is the value of not allowed. Don't consider DCL. Okay, I'm going to execute it. Oh, it's not active. One second. Activated. Yeah, it's active now. Execute. So with DCL, we got 3. Now everything because I used a check, not allowed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say not required. Same like check. Not required is same like check. So if there is a DCL, yes. If there is no DCL, it won't give any warning message. Okay, but the functionality is same. So now if we execute, it will give only the same 3 records because we used PM00 order type and then order category as 30. So I'm going to execute it. I'm not going to refresh. I'm going to execute the same three records. So the functionality wise, check and not required as same. Only the suppress the warning message. Check doesn't, but not required will do that. Okay. The another one is privileged only. So here privileged only. What I can do is I mention about the privilege only as we're not able to access the data directly and is not exposed to the OData service. So I prefer to go with the OData service. I'll create a OData service for this CDS and execute it. We'll see how it works for privileged only option. Okay. Let me go with OData publish and true. Yep. Okay. That's it. Act toward it. Okay, it should be a warning message. Yeah, it's not act toward it. It's fine. Now go to the relevant system and oh, here. Seriously? Okay, I'm looking for option to open a new session. Forgot about it. Okay, so here go to maintenance and service. Activate your CDS like for OData. Just have this one to find the service name, like to register your service name, add service, local, enter. We got it and end with .cds. So these things are you aware of it. Local object, continue. My DDL is in privileged only option. So metadata was loaded successfully. Go here and go back, filter it, get your service name and go to SAP Gateway Client, execute it and execute with an entity as well. See, okay. It's not loaded perfectly. Let's wait for some seconds. So it got executed. It's executed the basic one, not with the entity. Okay. We'll go with entity sets. I have only one. My entity name here and execute it. And you'll get a message called forbidden. Okay, so the entity can only be accessed by navigation or expand. So navigation or expand is it's coming under association, right? So that is the reason like what we use privileged only works over here. Okay, so we are not able to access directly the data of your CDS if the DDL has authorization check as enabled with privileged only. Now, if I go and change the privileged only option by check or not allowed, sorry, not required, I think it doesn't make any difference for OData. So apart from privileged only, if you use any values, I changed. Now go to your OData service and execute with the same entity. You'll get the records. So 200, you'll get all the records. Okay. So this is one of the option which we have used privileged only value for your authorization annotations. So just play around with this and with different checks, and because it includes two different objects, DCL, maybe the introduction of DCL and the annotation for authorization with different values on it. Just play around, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much for your time. See you in the next video. Bye.